Hey everyone, welcome to the MakerDAO community call. It is August 4th. My name is David Utrobin. I work doing community development at the Maker Foundation, so I get the good pleasure of constantly being around the community. Actually, I used to be, well, I consider myself still definitely part of the community, but my role has definitely shifted 2 years ago when the foundation hired me, but nevertheless, I get the joy of facilitating these calls and still regularly being part of the community in a really great way. So, welcome to the call. If you haven't been here before, we use this call for basically two things. We do like a weekly roundup of all of the things that are going on in Maker. Um, Thankfully, we actually have a new working group in the community called the Governance Communications Working Group. It consists of like 4 or 5 community contributors, and they've taken up the really great task of putting out a weekly publication called Maker Relay, and it does a lot of what my old agenda used to do. So I used to put together an agenda for this call that would go through kind of like the votes, the community highlights, developer creations, integrations that happened this week, etc., etc. So now, every Monday, regardless of me, this new Maker Relay gets posted. And if you're on the call, there should be a link to it, like right there. If you're watching on YouTube, the recording, I will add a link to the Maker Relay tag on the forum where they're all posted. And if you follow that link, you'll usually see the most recent one up at the top. But if you're looking for a specific one, you could also search by date. Yeah, so I'm really excited. The second thing that we do on this call, besides go through the week at Maker, is we do kind of community showcases. We try to have interesting guests on. We try to, just create a really interesting hour for different groups of people, whether it's like non-technical beginners learning about Maker, or people who are deep in the weeds of privacy tech on Ethereum and interested in what others are doing with similar privacy tech. And so that's, I guess, a decent segue into the first half, the agenda for the first half of the call. So we actually have a couple of guests. Well, two sets of guests. One is Eugene Koinov. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Koinov. Yeah, you'll tell me when I invite you on the screen. But yeah, Eugene is one of the recent Protect Privacy Hackathon winners, and he put out a really interesting project called Tornado Vote. And so he was one of the winners in the Privacy for Governance tracks, which was one of the 2 bounties that we had. We had Privacy for Governance and Privacy for DAI transactions. The second guest that we have today is actually a team of, I believe, 3 people. It's Paul Pham, Joseph Owanwo, and GD Sumia. I'm not sure if GD is like, yeah, I guess that's that. Yeah, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, or if you prefer to go by something else, feel free to let me know when you come on. But we're gonna have these 2 guests, and we're gonna do like a quick, basically the first half hour of the call. We're gonna do a demo of each of them, and we're gonna open it up to Q&A for anybody on the call that's interested in asking specific questions. Feel free to, be as technical or non-technical as you want. This call is really meant to be kind of pretty laid back and pretty conversational. So feel free. I know I know, unlike Zoom on Crowdcast, you can't just jump on the video or the mic. But if you ask in chat, I'll happily ask for you, or I could even invite you guys on the mic to make it interesting and the video. So with all of that being said, I think the first project we're gonna dive into is actually Eugene. So Eugene, I'm gonna send you. Oh no, I navigated away from this page. Here, I'm gonna send you really quickly a invite on screen thing. Yeah, here it is. 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 Yeah. So what I found really interesting about Eugene's project is that it mixes Tornado.cash, which is one of the recent really cool privacy things for getting your ETH into a wallet without anybody really knowing that it's your ETH. And he mixes this with governance. So hey, Eugene, what's up, man? Can you hear me? Can I hear you?
Yeah, I hear you well. Hope you hear well.
Yeah, I can hear you
You
well.
hear me well too? Is
Yeah,
okay?
I can hear you perfect. Привет.
Привет.
Uh,
Okay,
okay, cool.
maybe I will tell you something about how this project was born, in fact, and I'm not sure if I can share the screen here, but
Should be able to.
basically I would like to talk, mostly to talk instead of showing how it works, because I'm not in an office right now and I don't have access to my local network when it was deployed.
No
So
worries.
I will explain in a couple of words. In fact, the idea of making Tornado Cash a voting based on Tornado Cash was born about 1 year ago. I contacted our author of Tornado, Raman, and told that I'm going to implement this solution and make private voting based on ZK Snarks protocol, and it was quite easy. However, I was a little bit busy, so I postponed this project for about a year, and then suddenly it was like a I don't know. I'm not surfing too much, but I saw that there is a hackathon, and the idea of this hackathon is exactly what I wanted to implement about a year ago. So I decided to try, and
That's so cool.
I guess I was quite successful with this, because I really believe such things like Tornado Cash, it is basically a mixer, but use high level of privacy, provide users this highest level of privacy, and such things can shift other technology as well. For example, it is basically a mixer, but we implement anonymous voting based on the same technique. In fact, the idea of Tornado is, I believe, it is outstanding project because it's quite simple. It works well. It's really secure and provide highest level of anonymity for end user.
Yeah.
So what was left to do is to switch incoming transactions and outgoing checks sent by Tornado users from different addresses to implement a special voting contract, rename those nodes in Tornado. It is called node to ballot, and it was quite simple. A little bit changed in circuit in ZK Snake circuit was made, and new contract, new voting contract that accept calls from parent contract was implemented as well. So basically, it's quite simple. However, I don't believe it is. It can be used for a mass adoption. Each transaction to Tornado Cash and call this sending this confirmation costs a lot. About I guess according to the current rate, it's about $15 per each call. So
That's
if
it?
someone
Per
owns,
each call.
yeah, it's
Got it.
terrible. Yeah, each transaction costs about $15. I believe it's it's a little bit too expensive
Yeah.
to make public voting based on this. For example, if you own I don't know if you have 10,000 users who holds your token, you try to make this anonymous voting, and it will cost about $150,000. I'm not sure it's worth it.
That's if everybody
However, when
that's only if everybody votes though. Realistically, let's call it like
my,
100 voting addresses, right? 100 voting addresses. I think the way to mass adoption to get
it
around like these
depends.
gas costs is if like the protocol itself decides to implement a system to like subsidize the gas costs for all the voters, right? But apart from that, yeah, in like the current state, I totally agree with you.
It depends on stake. How much is at stake? For example, if you
Yeah,
need to make anonymous voting in a kind of mutual investment fund, when shareholders need to stay private, and some results should be taken into account. I guess it will work.
yeah,
However, when we are talking about like ERC20 tokens, those are moved between multiple addresses. It's quite difficult. So another implementation and adoption can be I don't know, off-chain voting, like you start your own local network with free gas. You provide your users with a free gas, but even with this case, you can always confirm that voting that nodes, ballots sent to this blockchain are indeed trustworthy. And so you can make this voting like off-chain for, I don't know, for example, for neighbors voting or something like this.
yeah,
And it's quite simple. If you check the GitHub, there are a couple of screenshots. I'm not going to show how it works in real time. However, it's quite simple. You choose voting, you get a ballot, and then you simply send this ballot from any address you want. This address is dynamically generated and provided with a free Ethereum in Ganache in a local test network, and then this ballot sent with a vote, and all those votes you can get information about those ballots, and make sure it's quite anonymous, sent from different email, and are not faken. In other words, it's a
yeah,
kind of off-chain implementation, but for on-chain, I believe it's quite expensive. It's still quite
yeah,
expensive. Maybe in a new Ethereum, gas costs
totally.
will be decreased for such protocols, but at the moment, I believe it's still unusable for large votings with a lot of people involved.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
something like this. But I believe such technologies initially designed for gray purposes, like mixing Ethereum and so on, can
These are like the
shift
building
other
blocks.
technologies upfront.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
100%
And now
agree with
it's
you.
quite simple. The idea of forking Tornado was one of the most circulated one during this hackathon. A lot of
Yeah,
people tried to implement it and implement it. However, I believe my implementation is a kind of like a civil one. I don't know how
yeah.
to call it in a right way. And this voting is not related mostly to DAO structure and Ethereum, but most likely like just a simple anonymous voting.
Yeah, you can carry it over pretty much to any kind of voting system. It's kind of like a generic model, right?
Yeah, something like generic, and
Yeah.
other third-party contracts can use results of votings and so on.
So
There are
Eugene,
a
quick
lot of
question.
possible. Yeah,
Yes. You could finish your thought because my next question is going to be about
yeah.
the difference between like the Tornado Cash as it's on mainnet now, and like what is the relationship between just the regular mixer aspect of Tornado Cash with the ZK Snarks aspect, where like you create like a node and like you do the whole Aztec thing. I'm kind of curious about the marriage in your implementation of these two seemingly independent like methods, right?
Okay. Okay. Basically, the idea behind Tornado Cash, how it works, there is a kind of trusted hashes of Merkle trees, and this tree is implemented on a top of Ethereum. So each transaction changes this root of this tree, and this root becomes trusted one. It's marked in a hash map like a trusted one.
Yeah.
So ultimate user sent a note that with the confirmation that hash of his transaction belongs to this Merkle tree. So it's impossible to trace this relations between initial transaction and next transaction. Basically, all is utilized is a trusted hash maps and trusted hash over root of this Merkle tree. So it works this way. And for me, what I've done, I simply changed circuit and added one more field. So Tornado Cash has different nodes, and each node is located on a separate contract. And I made a voting contract that can join many votings simultaneously and assign value of each ballot to each voting. So I added one more field that is a voting number to the ballot. So people, when somebody gets a ballot, this person cannot use the ballot on another voting. Basically, there's nothing different. So the voting contract counts total votes, and then third-party contracts can fetch the results and decide what to do. It's about Ethereum. When we thinking about like a civil voting, you can simply confirm that it was fair, something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that's super interesting. Just like me personally, I'm not like a extremely technical person. Like at some point I've read through kind of like primers on Aztec, primers on how the privacy stuff works. Like I have a understanding of like Merkle trees and like all the kind of basic blockchain stuff. But once you start talking about trusted Merkle trees, that's where my brain is like, what the hell's a trusted Merkle tree? But for the people that do know what it is,
No,
you are very
it's
articulate because
like
I
a
was following more
list.
or less. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was a really great explanation. So thank you, man. Thank you.
It was, in fact, the author of Tornado Cash are truly genius guys, and I know a little bit them, and they're great. All the rest is based on the top of the Tornado, and they
Yeah.
provided us with a great tool.
So open question for you. What are you planning to do now? I see it in the GitHub repo. You have like a makeshift front end for this tool, but you also have a number of to-do list items. Are you planning to further develop this idea?
Yeah, I like the idea. It's quite simple. I'm trying to get a little bit time because I'm working hard now, and
Yeah.
about 4 months I'm working without almost with no holidays. No, I'm working hard at the moment, and in fact, it took me about 3 days to adapt Tornado for the voting, but it was a kind of challenge for me because I wanted to do it a long time ago before the hackathon. It was a great chance for me to implement. I like some such things like technical challenges. I'm trying to participate in some competitions. It is quite interesting for me, and was a great chance for me to implement what I wanted to do a lot of time ago. In fact, now I'm thinking of, in fact, I bought a domain. Maybe I will try to make user-friendly of chain voting with a local network, so anyone can, for example, if you want to make some voting for your own purposes, you can simply create this voting and ask people to vote, and it will be truly anonymous. However, it is off chain. It
would be
doesn't
on a test
require
net,
any
right?
special knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
It's like
local test net when
exactly.
you
I get
can
what you're
give.
saying. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, if it is necessary, for example, if I get a demand for someone says, okay, we need to make anonymous voting based on ZK Snark, I'm ready. It's
you have the basic
it's
building block.
production ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's production ready. However, this person need to understand the limitations and the price of the conducting voting on a mainnet.
I hope
But
these gas
it's
prices go
okay.
down.
Yeah. Anyway, it's now there's not a long way to keep going. So I will continue development because I like this project. The simplicity and maybe in Ethereum 2.0, gas consumption will be decreased, so it will be much
Please.
more, yeah, much more connected to reality or something like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
However, there are small DAOs like Aragon, maybe, and all this, all their function are based on voting. So maybe we can try to implement like a module for Aragon for anonymous voting. Any idea will do. Anyway, I like this. I like this process. I like how it works. I believe there is a great future in such things like zero knowledge proofs.
Yeah. Nice, Eugene. If anybody who's watching or in the chat has questions for Eugene, definitely drop them in the chat, or you can drop them in that special ask a question module. That's like, I guess you can't. I don't know if I'm on the left side of your screen, which I think you are, like right there. So yeah, definitely ask a question while Eugene's still on. In the meantime, I just wanted to ask if Paul, Joseph, or Sumi are here. If not, it's not the end of the world. But I do know we went a little over time. I initially intended to do like a 15-minute per project thing, and then the last half hour for the Maker Relay run through. But this conversation was wonderfully interesting. So yeah, totally fine. And also I have like maybe an unreasonable sneaking suspicion that we might only have you. I'm not sure where Paul, Joseph, or Sumi are. Yeah. Either way, yeah. So I'm not seeing any particular questions yet. But yeah, I love your passion for the actually figuring out the technical understanding and like really challenging yourself. I find that super admirable, man. I have that mentality about things, but they end up becoming projects that I don't touch for like 3 months after spending a day on them. What do you do generally? Are you just working as a blockchain developer in the space?
In fact, I'm an accountant and auditor. I got a degree in accountants
Oh
and
wow.
audit. Then I started working in software security. It was about 20 years ago. We dealt with software protection. Then I moved to stock exchange, trading, some machine learning, and then I got to blockchain about 3 years ago, dealing with fund, crypto fund software accounting, and also I'm very happy to deal with decentralized system like any financial things on
Yeah.
smart contracts, DeFi. I'm very excited seeing what's going on. I believe decentralization is what
Yeah.
what is going to be a trend in next years. I believe there is a great future in project like MakerDAO because your company is a famous one. So when I saw you doing this hackathon, I was happy to participate. Uh, so
Yeah.
such companies also move the world forward, and community great, giving great things to all the trying to move all things and change them. I believe that's what that's a progress,
Yeah.
and this progress must keep going.
I have maybe one more open-ended question for you. So I was thinking a bit about like what the opportunity is for DeFi in general, right? So DeFi kind of has this chance to
Yeah.
reinvent a financial system, and they could reinvent it with a lot less fragility and a lot more robustness. And it's all a matter of, developing it correctly, kind of not letting certain things become too big before they're ready, right? And like a number of other things. But my question for you is, do you see DeFi as maybe, yeah? How do you? I'm trying to see how I could phrase my question like the best. Do you see DeFi as hmm, geez, I can't phrase this question. Crap. uh, Different question. Do you think how would you compare like the opportunity DeFi has now compared to like legacy systems? I guess that question also kind of doesn't really make sense. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like what do you see what are you most
Do you mean
excited about with these systems? Yeah.
how do yeah? In fact, what I like about DeFi is that it's really decentralized. I don't like a kind of air behind the growth of value. I don't like this.
Yeah.
However, when we see such things like commission, like exchange commission, like lending money for margin trades, there is a great opportunity of making a lot of money. Taking these opportunities from old-fashioned brokers and old-fashioned cleaning houses and moving all this to the blockchain and interested party. So I believe as soon as Ethereum becomes faster and cheaper and also maybe a little bit regulated, like a kind of connection between a real world and assets issued on a blockchain. For example, stocks, maybe um, obligations. I don't know how to say.
Yeah, just various kinds of securities
Bonds,
and
yeah,
bonds. Yeah.
securities. As soon as such things move here, there's a great potential for growth. I believe almost unstoppable. And people who start in dealing with decentralized system are looking all on old system in a like a, I don't know. For example, I know a lot of people now started loving tape recorders again, like something like
It's old school.
yeah,
It's
yeah, but
nostalgic, you know.
yeah, old school. It's like old school, and I
Yeah.
believe modern world has more connected to DeFi than this previous order, and we see a lot of people trading cryptocurrencies instead of going to brokers, because
Right.
it's simpler. It has no intermediaries. It's more volatile and
Yeah.
much more interesting. And I like a future that way. I don't like emptiness behind just because of growing on balance of supply and demand. And however, it's also reality. There's nothing to
Yeah.
do about this. I believe as soon as more utilities comes to this world, DeFi world, and nowadays reality is commissions and borrowing and lending. Maybe next step is a kind of bonds on a blockchain when companies issue their securities, people can buy and earn not like a 100% a year, but 10%. Now
Yeah.
there's a great opportunity for stable coin like a DAI. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
So
Die. Yeah. You
yeah,
know the die actually a part of the thinking
yeah,
behind like the word is die, like to give in
yeah,
Russian.
yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah.
word die is to give.
Die,
Also,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly, and
It's
also in Chinese it's also like very similar. I think die has to do. I forgot exactly what it is, but there's a really interesting like 2014 Reddit thread from Rune when he first came up with die. Yeah, that's all. I'm so
so
excited for all of that. Yeah.
and it is algorithmic, and it's looking really great. I
Can't.
like Uniswap protocol that in fact moving a centralized exchange out of the scene.
Yeah, I
It's
can't believe the
what's
volume we're
happening
seeing on these
nowadays.
exchanges.
Yeah. But I believe it's great and it's new.
Yeah,
It works in a brand new way. I never thought it is possible to make like a exchange without orders, order book, trading tapes,
it's
but it works
revolutionary.
now and
Yeah,
works great.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Absolutely. Yeah,
revolutionary.
the whole
You're
idea of
completely
like
right.
pooling liquidity, like even Balancer, like blew my mind when I read their
Yeah,
white paper. I was like, wow, you pay a fund a performance fee to like rebalance and like control like a pool of assets in the traditional world. Where Balancer, you could actually charge a fee for others to trade into your portfolio to rebalance for you. It's like,
yeah,
it blows your mind. But
yeah.
yeah, Eugene, it was a
Unbelievable, really. It's
it is.
unbelievable.
It is. It's like alchemy, And I too, I'm so I'm right there with you. I'm so excited for ETH. First of all, ETH to get upgraded, cheaper gas costs, and way more transactional bandwidth. Especially on layer one.
Yeah,
I'm really I think
yeah.
that that's like one of the biggest limiting factors for uh really any kind of applications, because right now it's so cost prohibitive to do
However,
anything.
even in this environment, it moves forwards.
Yeah. Well, Eugene, this was a really great conversation.
Anyway,
I'm going.
even
Uh-huh.
in this.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Okay, thank you for your time. It was great, really.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
If you want, you can finish that
I'm
last thought.
still staying here, so
Okay, cool.
no. Okay, I just want to say thank you to your great idea of this hackathon that implemented one of my technical wishes I wanted to implement a long time. It was great. Thank you for
Yeah.
reward. It was
Hey,
noted. I'm keeping it. I'm proud of getting a die from MakerDAO. It's great.
it's nice. We
Anyway,
might make an
thank
NFT
you.
just for you.
You're great. You're doing great job, really. Yeah,
Thank you for the great compliments. I'll
you
definitely
doing great
pass
job.
along. I'll definitely pass along to Amy and Rich. I think they were the architects behind the two bounties for that hackathon. I'll definitely
Yeah,
send your
yeah,
thanks and appreciation. All right, man. Well, for the next
yeah.
20 or so minutes, I'm gonna get into the Maker Relay for this week, and we're gonna get
I'm
through
switching out.
yeah, cool. And we're gonna get through a little bit of what's been happening at Maker this week. And also, Eugene, if I think it would also be good to post your handle in the chat in case anybody wants to reach out to you, and also I could add that info if people are interested in helping you work on ZK Vote. All right, so in just a second, I'm going to share my screen, and we're gonna walk through episode 6 of Maker Relay. All right, here's the share screen. All right, cool. I'll make this a little bit wider and maybe zoom a little bit more for your viewing pleasure. And cool. Yeah, so before I even start, huge just thanks and appreciation and like good effort from a number of people in our community who recently came together to form a GovComs working group, which the idea behind the group is to address kind of the communications issues of the DAO, and Maker is in this unique place where, MakerDAO isn't the foundation, right? Like I work for the Maker Foundation. MakerDAO is kind of a one level higher or deeper, or however you want to think about it. But MakerDAO is consistent of way more people than just the people who are employed by the foundation. Like the foundation bootstraps MakerDAO, but really it's the community that's meant to, sustain itself and be able to exist without the foundation. So at the foundation, we do have a communications team, a marketing team. We have a wonderfully active blog. We have a ton of things going on. But this working group is really interesting because what happens when the foundation disappears? What happens when? Uh, well, how do you keep? I forgot. There's a really cool mental model that we were thinking through that Tim presented about this working group. It's how do you communicate as a DAO outward, right? How do you capture the sentiment of the members of MakerDAO and communicate it? How do you uh, take public communications and convert it inward to communicate to the DAO, right? And then how do you facilitate information flow, distribution of information, and communications within the DAO, right, between the members? And I really like that mental model because Maker Relay is the first like real product of this working group, and it addresses this fundamental need for the average MKR voter, right? Like, how do I stay up to date week to week, get the essential information without needing to spend, 4, 5, 6 hours trying to aggregate and absorb the information yourself? And Maker Relay is really great. So it aggregates all that information for you. And so yeah, let's do a quick run through. And by the way, at the very bottom of Maker Relay, there's a lovely survey that you can take. It's pretty short. If you can give us feedback, ways that we could improve Maker Relay, ways that maybe a change to a section or like wording or any real thing that you see we can improve on, definitely add that in the survey or join us on Rocket Chat and just tell us. We have a number of chats that you could join. Community development is probably the one you can go to for some Maker Relay feedback. All right, so enough of me shilling Maker Relay and the governance communications working team. Let's get through it. So yeah, this first section is votes. And so there's a lot of interesting executive vote activity last week. A lot of it was motivated by the imbalance in the DAI peg. As many of you know, the DAI peg has been trading at a premium above the dollar, between a dollar and a penny, and at some points within in the last week or two, we've saw $1.05 or 6 cents spiked up on Coinbase, and this is this huge increase in DAI demand is mostly related to all of the yield farming activity and trends that are going on, and just the fact that DAI is kind of in the middle of this beautiful DeFi storm. So most recently, a base rate was reduced. The base rate was reduced, which is basically the rate for all vault types, like the underlying rate. It's supposed to coincide with DSR, so you're able to kind of take the DSR figure and offset it by the base rate. But then, as part of the overall stability fee of a given vault, there's base rate plus risk premium. So let's say the base rate is 0, and we have for ETH vault type A a risk premium of 2%. You do 0 plus 2 is 2%. And then for other things like maybe mana, you have an 8% or 4% risk premium and a 0, and maybe like let's in this example a 2% base rate. That'll end up being a 6% stability fee, right? So just to get you comfortable with the idea of a base rate and what it means. So the base rate across the board was dropped to -4%, which means that anything that had a 0% stability fee did not go negative, it stayed 0. And then anything that had a stability fee over 0 dropped by 400 basis points, by 4%. So that's what happened. One of the executive votes that happened this week. And bundled with that base rate reduction is DYDX getting whitelisted on the ETH USD Oracle. So yeah, excited to see that. That's pretty standard stuff. We're seeing a lot of onboarding to oracles, both as service providers, feeds, and as clients like DYDX here using the oracle. So yeah, the second executive vote had to do with a number of debt ceiling increases, and actually on Wednesday of last week there was an unscheduled governance call to basically talk through the increase in magnitude of these debt ceiling adjustments. And it's a really, really interesting call. There's actually a summary of that call posted. I could really, really, really quickly grab that for you guys and gals. Should be right here. Cool. Right on. Yeah, so yeah, number of debt ceilings were adjusted. That's yeah, you could see the figures here, but as you could see, like 80 million increase for ETH as opposed to our previous adjustments of 20 million, right? So we would jump by 20 million each time, but this time, because of just every 3 days since we do a debt ceiling raise, it seems the utilization just gets capped out, and we need to allow as a governing body DAI to not break the peg. So this is definitely one of the tools in Maker Governance's belt, and I'm glad to see them using it. Cool, yeah. So also, okay, I guess there was 3 executive votes. Yeah, I guess the formatting of this could be a little bit cleaner, but that's all right. Yeah, so there on Tuesday of last week, there was also a monthly governance bundle, which was ratified. It included previously, yeah, an increase of the debt ceiling. So that's actually 2 debt ceiling increases within the week. But this other executive vote with the monthly MIPS bundle actually passed 5 out of 7 proposals that were entered into this month's governance cycle. And these 5 changes, I believe, should be listed down here. Yeah. Oh no, those are the RFCs. Yeah. So yeah, I think I could actually get it from memory. So there was a liquidation system upgrade. There was the removal of the DSR spread as a meta parameter. there was the adoption of Mip. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna. Oh no, actually, see, I'm a dummy. This is all actually right here. So I'm just here making a fool of myself. Yeah. So the proposals: we implemented a weekly governance cycle. So we were doing this unofficially, but now we have an official process to move things through. Um, a shortened governance cycle. We have a monthly governance cycle, but for more emergency actions that governance needs to stay flexible for, this weekly governance cycle was formally added. Yeah, MIP 18 just talked about establishing the idea of metaparameters and our ability as a governing body to adjust them. It outlines a lot of the logic behind that. And then, yeah, MIP 19 was a liquidation system upgrade. If you're a keeper, and you run bots that participate in maker auctions, right now would be a really good time to update your bot because the contracts for the flap and flop auction contracts they're all changed. So your old bot implementation will not work on the new liquidation system until you update it. Yeah, so and then the two sub proposals that were part of that bundle are the sub proposal for modifying meta parameter adjustments, aka the removal of the DSR spread. And then two was just the submitting of the domain work requirements and also the vault type for mana. So we actually saw a new vault type this week as well, mana vault type A. And this is kind of standard for any vault type that gets onboarded. In getting onboarded, the domain, whoever is the submitter for it being onboarded, has to submit all of the different domain team work, which is the Oracle team, the Risk team, and the Smart Contracts team. And hopefully, eventually in the future, it would also include a decentralized legal team to add to kind of our understanding of each individual asset's risk profile from those different standpoints, right? There's a number. There's a number of different polls. There's only one. Actually, I'm curious. It's a little bit shaky. Let's see here. Yeah, so governance polls, there's a base rate adjustment poll. This is a weekly recurring poll. And hopefully this page loads so I could satisfy my curiosity for a second. Yeah, so it is, yeah, so okay, that I just wanted to make sure that it really was just one vote and that these are I believe last week's. Yeah, okay, cool. So there's only one governance poll and I believe there is no active executive to vote on currently. So yeah, as of right now, only one governance poll that you could vote on. As for last week's polls, there were 4 besides the closed community greenlight polls, but there was a base rate adjustment. As I mentioned, it passed with -4, and it actually passed in the executive as well. These debt ceilings were proposed to be adjusted in the governance polls. TUSD failed for some reasons relating to the fact that the TUSD token got upgraded, and there's concerns around how to deal with collateral that we accept in the Maker protocol that can be upgraded, because that is potentially a huge risk for the protocol and a huge risk for end users. This adjustment of the debt ceiling passed. I think that was it went up from 20 to 40 million. And then this DYDX ETHUSD using the ETHUSD Oracle passed in the governance poll before it eventually passed in the executive that I mentioned already. If you're interested in seeing what the community sentiment is like around a number of the different collateral onboarding applications, you could check out this table. This is specifically for the greenlight polls that happened in the July governance cycle. So this isn't all of the applications. If you are interested in all of the applications, there's actually a really great, I think it's actually linked lower in this, but I'm just gonna be unruly and get it myself. There's this really wonderful thread called the Collateral Status Index. And this has all of the information you might want on what's going on in onboarding collateral. So yeah, you could check out kind of everything, all the statuses here. So yeah, I invite you to check that out. But regardless, I'm not going to go through every single one of these because I want to get through before we hit the hour. So yeah, just some food for thought. There's a handful of signal request threads on the forum right now. I feel like there's more than 3 that are active right now. So, but these are the 3 that we have here. So, should we change the risk premiums for various collateral types? So recently, the base rate went down to -4%. That didn't affect the individual risk premiums for each vault type. Right now, since we are, if we make risk premiums on a 0% vault 4, it'll still be a 0% vault because of the -4% base rate. So right now is actually a really great opportunity to fine tune the risk premiums of all of the different collateral assets. And in the signal request, we're actually seeing, like consensus forming around the need to do that. Yeah, see 83%. Believe so, and have entered their votes for what they think the risk premiums should be. So yeah, super interesting to see the community moving on that. Another signal request thread is about increasing the dust amount. If you don't know what dust is the minimum amount of DAI that you could generate out of a vault. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Apologies for that. Yeah, so increasing the dust amount is about increasing the minimum amount of DAI that you could generate out of a vault. So currently it's 20, but because of the gas prices, that makes liquidations actually non-economically like it just doesn't make, like, you're gonna lose money if you liquidate a 20 DAI debt vault because of the gas prices. So increasing the dust amount will reduce the risk of these like many small vaults going under and not being liquidated properly. So yeah, just important thing. And I think also the signal request is reflecting a big yes on that. And then the last one that I'm going to mention here is the adding of the ETH-B vault. So we have an ETH-A vault, but the ETH-B vault would be kind of a emergency liquidity vault in the case that ETH-A is fully used up. ETH-B would act. Actually, I don't know if I'm right about that. I think it's kind of twofold. It's number one as emergency liquidity, but also I believe that the liquidation ratio where you would get liquidated is going to be slightly lower. But with that lower liquidation ratio, it's going to command a higher risk premium. So ETH-A is at 150% liquidation ratio. So for every DAI you generate, you got to put up $1.50 and keep up a minimum of $1.50 of ETH in collateral. With this one, you'd probably put up maybe $1.20 of ETH for collateral, but instead of paying a 0% risk premium, you might pay a 2% or a 4% or a 10% risk premium, depending on how the discussion and how the formation of these parameters goes. Here's some Mip updates. So the Maker, so actually really quick, we're in week 1 of the August governance cycle. So I believe by the end of this week or by Thursday is the end of the period where people can actually move their MIPs or sub proposals into like a formal submission for this month's governance cycle. And there's a number of MIPS in the request for comment phase, which is a really important phase. And I highly encourage any community members to give their mind, give their thought towards really improving and making sure these MIPS are robust. yeah. So cool. I'm gonna really quickly run through them. MIP 20 target price adjustment module. Implemented as Vox. This was submitted by Lev, and it is a slight spinoff on the TRFM, which has been a big topic of conversation for years in MakerDAO. MIP 17 is this idea of weekly actual debt ceiling and actual risk premium adjustments. It's kind of setting the groundwork for all of the logic that's needed to do kind of adjustments to the risk premiums and debt ceilings, because right now it's very we kind of we don't have like the cleanest logic. It really is just reactive changes in those numbers, primarily to support the die peg. So this would implement logic that actually could then be used to automate the process of adjusting risk premiums and debt ceilings. So this MIP, I know that we would really love to get it submitted for the August cycle, but Charles and all the others that are working on it are putting out special call out to the community to really like come and share your feedback, and like let's try to polish it up for this month's governance cycle. But don't know the current status. That's what he told me like last week. So I don't know if it's ready, but I know that feedback is always useful. MIP 15, the dark spell mechanism, is an RFC. Will Barnes crafted that and presented about it a number of times. You could actually check out the recordings on the forum. Just search dark spell mechanism and eventually you'll find it, or just ping me. The MIP 14 protocol die transfer actually failed in one of the previous governance cycles, and so it's been revised, but it needs further revision, and it's looking for somebody to really spearhead it. So, anybody who's interested in helping to spearhead this very foundational tool for the protocol would be great. Great. But yeah, the idea is basically, what's the process for sending DAI to a specified Ethereum address through governance, right? Through MKR votes. Cool. Yeah, MIP 13, Declaration of Intent Forward Guidance, is actually submitted by one of the people in the call today, Mr. Akiva Dubrovsky. And so this is basically a MIP. It's a sub proposal to MIP 13 that it advocates for a vault holder advocacy group with the aim to provide just more guidance and transparency to vault holders, and the reassurance that the risk parameters will follow some established patterns. So there's a video here if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about this MIP, but the idea is to lobby on behalf of Vault. I believe this is the idea. Akiva, definitely correct me if I'm wrong. The idea is to advocate for more stable rates, or at least to have way more forewarning for when the rates change. Because right now it's pretty reactive. You don't get a lot of forewarning as a vault holder. The rates are pretty volatile. But this group would aim to try to reduce the volatility and increase the information beforehand to the market. All right, cool. Yeah, so some current events. I'll leave it to you guys to read through it. I know it's top of the hour, so feel free to go if you need to. But just some quick current events. I already mentioned we had a huge magnitude of debt ceiling raises. There's a bunch of information here you guys could read. MIP 17, I already talked about it a little bit, but you guys could check it out some more here. A number of assessments happened from the smart contracts team this week. They did an assessment on Link, LRC, PAX USD, and USDT, which is pretty cool. State of the peg as of yesterday, as you can see, DAI is maintaining this premium. It's sitting closer to $1.015. Over the past week, dye supply went up dramatically, almost 100 million, like 98 million or something. The total supply is now sitting at more than a third of $1 billion, 378 mil as of yesterday. I think it's more or less something like that right now. Here's the 7-day volume weighted average price of dye. As you can see, it does this really lovely like it's like almost like a standard bell curve. It's like single modal, and you could see by all of the different. Actually, can I scroll to the right? No, I can't. I could zoom out a little bit so you guys could see. But yeah, all of these different colors represent the different venues where people trade dye, and so you could see kind of a visualization of the volume and just the distribution of how the price happens across all these orders. So I love this chart. It's so good. Yeah, volume was around 148 million last week, which is like staggeringly huge. Yeah, the average volume weighted average price. That's redundant. Places dye at $1.02 this week. That's the 7-day. For the 1-day, yesterday's, yeah, we had 24-hour volume of 24 million, which is which is very symmetrical. And then, yeah, the 24-hour volume weighted average price is a little bit better than the weeks, but that I believe is because, yeah, some pressure kind of was alleviated on the dye markets. Yeah, on the whole, we're seeing ETH vaults fanning out into stronger collateralization ratios, which is really good. You could see this chart is basically the walls where the ETH price, where the price would be if where all these vaults would get liquidated. So you see at 250 there, 250 into 240, it's like a, what is it, 50 to the screenshot kind of blocks it, so it's not good, but it's something like a $60 million wall right there, right? And obviously this is dynamic. It shifts. Obviously, like if ETH price is dropping, you're going to see like a change in the behavior of all of these different vault users. So this is going to probably change to be a little more risk mitigating. But right now, this is what it is. The first significant liquidation wall is around 267 ETH. And that's like a 33% drop in the price of ETH, which we have seen in the past. So yeah, and then yeah, another liquidation wall at 40% drop, and that would mean 106 million dye being liquidated, which is a very large amount of collateral and dye being liquidated. Thankfully, we upgraded the liquidation contracts, but even still, there are improvements to be made to be able to handle this kind of volume, and there's certainly considerations to not having a dye liquidity crunch similar to what happened on March 12th. But thankfully, upgraded liquidations right on time. Yeah, so a couple thought pieces from the community. Feel free to just go into Maker Relay and click on these for yourself. But Primož Cordes, who's totally underrated risk management professional and like data analyst guy, super sweet dude, did a really great section on MakerDAO related to yield farming and dye and all of that in the Our Network issue number 32. So check that out. And then there was this really thoughtful post on Reddit about the state of DiePeg and like the impact of yield farming. And there's a ton of really interesting data, and the user KTMT16 did a great job, put in a lot of effort. So definitely check that out. Just some videos and podcasts from the last couple weeks. Check them out if you have time with your lunch. Yeah, Instadap launched the Dye Short tool, so if you're interested in going 14x leverage on your USDC vault to short dye and make some money, you can do it. But of course, it comes with risk. So do your own research. Maker Forum deep dive. Yeah, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the PSM, the peg stability mechanisms, you could check out this introductory post on the TRFM. I don't know why there's two. I think one of these is meant to point to something about the PSM, but that's okay. We could fix that. yeah, there's just a bunch of information here. I'm gonna kind of gloss over it for the sake of just finishing up in time. And yeah, that's Maker Relay. Uh, and so let me get out of here and let me face you guys. Yeah, cool. So thank you so much for joining this Tuesday. I appreciate it, and I hope you all got something useful out of this week's call. Yeah, the conversation with Eugene was wonderfully interesting, and Maker Relay is just getting better week by week. So I'm excited to see you guys next week. And with that, end broadcast.